Keanu Reeves has had a varied career, beginning with comedies like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and progressing through romantic dramas, action features, and sci-fi blockbusters. He's presently having a resurgence as John Wick, one of the finest action heroes of the modern era. He just donated his image and voice to the computer game Cyberpunk 2077, but Johnny Silverhand isn't the only character he'd be good at portraying. If certain video game series were ever translated for film, Keanu Reeves could undoubtedly fill a number of significant parts and make them his own.
The Auditori are not dead! I'm still here! Me! Ezio Auditore!
Ezio Auditore bears numerous similarities with one of Keanu Reeves' most compelling characters, John Wick. Both are cool, calm, and collected killers who may be driven to the breaking point by the appropriate set of circumstances. Both are lethal characters who will not hesitate to kill. However, both have a code of honor, at least inside the assassin circle. Reeves would be an intriguing option for a live-action Assassin's Creed adaptation, and his Ezio would have to siphon a lot of John Wick without completely copying the character. Keanu Reeves may not have the gravelly voice of renowned Metal Gear decent voice actor David Hayter, but he may provide a solid, pun intended, portrayal as the franchise's most popular hero. Solid Snake doesn't speak much until he gets to know his buddies, but he always has a hard and guarded appearance. Reeves has played several roles with similar characteristics, making him an obvious choice. His Snake would be different from the figure that fans know and love, but it would still adhere to the same formula. He'd also look good in a stealthy suit, with a SOCOM gun on his hip. Final Fantasy VII has some of the most inventive characters in gaming, and Reeves may play one of them in a big-screen cinematic version. If such a production is ever approved, Reeves may, and should, portray Vincent Valentine. Vincent is a secretive and steely guy, whom Reeves effortlessly portrays. Unfortunately, he is now too old to portray the part, which implies he would have been in peak form in his 30s. Nonetheless, it's a fascinating what-if to see Reeves as Valentine in a leading role. Attano's character was largely quiet in the original Dishonored game, a stealth action title in which players do not have to actually murder the villain. The sequel, on the other hand, gave him a voice, a face, and a personality, fleshing him out as a genuine character rather than an extension of the player. Reeves has many of Corvo's physical attributes, as well as a comparable voice. Furthermore, he's already portrayed assassin roles, so all he'd need to do is change firearms for swords and other traditional weaponry. His time on the set of the Matrix flicks should suffice. Red Dead Redemption, John Marston is a dynamic character, but Reeves might harness a little more enthusiasm to deliver a superb portrayal. Of course, it wouldn't hurt if he could talk with a southern drawl, even if Reeves' previous attempts at impersonating accents failed miserably. Nonetheless, Reeves has a quintessential cowboy style, particularly at this point in his life. With a cowboy hat and a six-shooter, he could easily pitch himself as a tough outlaw with a swinging moral pendulum. Despite having a natural flair for crisis management, the Leon Kennedy represented in the Resident Evil games began as a rather youthful and inexperienced character. Reeves' Kennedy would absolutely emphasize his more somber qualities, making him one of the finest Resident Evil characters in the whole genre. Kennedy observes every scenario before acting, and he thinks quickly on his feet. He doesn't panic, but he reacts with rapid reflexes and pinpoint focus, as Reeves has shown with characters like John Wick. Seeing him annihilate bio-horrors with a slew of lethal weaponry would be a high highlight. In one of Jake Gyllenhaal's more forgettable cinematic appearances, the eponymous Prince of Persia has previously been adapted for the big screen. Keanu Reeves, on the other hand, might take on the role and make his mark with a portrayal reminiscent of the prince's dark turn in the legendary The Warrior Within sequel. He already looks the part, but if he bulked up and sharpened his martial arts abilities, he'd be a perfect match. It's difficult to envision Reeves playing the more joyful and happy prince, but he could certainly play him as a stone-cold anti-hero. Keanu Reeves occasionally takes on a part that demands him to push the envelope and exude a lot of intensity. His modest demeanor can make this challenging at times, especially if he appears to be compensating by overacting. However, in the case of a game like Vanquish, it would be a bonus. Sam Gideon is a chain-smoking special operations soldier who zips around in battle-hardened armor taking down some of the most mind-boggling enemies conceivable. A big-screen version of Vanquish would be pure action from beginning to end, with Reeves easily filling Gideon's shoes while allowing his wild sideshow for the viewers to enjoy. Video game characters available, Adam Jensen may be the most accurate digital portrayal of Keanu Reeves. While the performances would be significantly different, there's little question that Reeves could fill the shoes of Deus Ex's cybernetic super soldier and make it his own. He has prior expertise with cyberpunk films, including Johnny Mnemonic and The Matrix, which Letterboxd considers to be one of Reeves' greatest films. Seeing Reeves knock out bad guys with cutting-edge cybernetic enhancements would be a huge highlight, and one of Reeves' most astounding performances to date. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button so I can feel all mushy inside. Also, click the subscribe button while you are there, and then since you are on such a clicking roll, why not click on another awesome video that is already loaded up right here. You don't even have to watch it, just let the video play at 1% while you eat your sushi or something.